Last Tuesday, I was having the worst day of my life when a delivery man knocked on my door with a package I didn't order. When I told him he had the wrong address, he looked at his tablet and said something that made my blood run cold. Ma'am, this was ordered by your late husband 6 months ago. My husband Michael had been dead for 8 months. But here's what that delivery man didn't know, and what I was about to discover. This package contained something that would reveal the biggest secret of my 20-year marriage. Something that would make me question everything I thought I knew about the man I loved. My name is Rebecca, and I'm about to tell you a story that will make you look at your own relationships completely differently. This isn't just about a mysterious package from beyond the grave. It's about the lengths people will go to protect the ones they love, even after death. By the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the people closest to us keep secrets that could destroy us, not because they don't love us, but because they love us too much to let us get hurt. Let me paint you a picture of my life 8 months ago. Michael and I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. 20 years together, 2 beautiful kids, Emma 16 and Jake 14. Michael worked as an accountant for a mid-sized firm downtown. I taught 3rd grade at the local elementary school. We had our dream house, 2 cars, and a golden retriever named Buddy. We were living the American dream, or so I thought. Michael died suddenly of a heart attack while jogging in our neighborhood. He was only 45, healthy as a horse, or so we all believed. The doctor said it was a rare genetic condition that went undiagnosed. One day, he was kissing me goodbye before his morning run, and 6 hours later, I was identifying his body at the hospital. The months after Michael's death were the darkest of my life. I couldn't sleep in our bed. I couldn't look at his coffee mug in the sink. Emma and Jake were struggling in school, and I was barely functioning as a mother, let alone a teacher. But the worst part was the financial stress. Michael had always handled our finances, and after he died, I discovered we weren't as secure as I thought. There were medical bills, funeral costs, and somehow our savings account was nearly empty. I had to take out a second mortgage just to keep the house. I kept asking myself, how did we go from financially stable to nearly broke? Where had all our money gone? By last Tuesday, 8 months after Michael's death, I was at my breaking point. I'd just gotten the notice that our electricity would be shut off if I didn't pay the overdue bill by Friday. Emma needed money for her senior class trip, and Jake's soccer cleats were falling apart. I was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by unpaid bills, trying to figure out which ones I could delay again, when the doorbell rang. Standing on my porch was a delivery man holding a medium-sized package and looking at his tablet with a confused expression. "Rebecca Martinez?" he asked. "That's me. I have a delivery for you, but..." He looked at his tablet again. "This is weird. The order was placed 6 months ago, but it was scheduled for delivery today?" I looked at the package. It was addressed to me, but I definitely hadn't ordered anything. With our financial situation, I wasn't buying anything that wasn't absolutely necessary. "I think you have the wrong address," I told him. "I didn't order anything." The delivery man checked his tablet one more time, then looked up at me with an expression I'll never forget. "Ma'am, according to this, the package was ordered by Michael Martinez. It says here it was a scheduled delivery for..." He paused, reading more carefully. "For 8 months after the order date." My heart stopped. That's impossible. Michael is my husband, and he's been dead for 8 months. The delivery man's face went pale. "I'm so sorry, ma'am, but the order is definitely here, paid for in advance with specific delivery instructions for today's date." With shaking hands, I signed for the package and brought it inside. The return address was from a company I'd never heard of, Secure Future Solutions. The package was heavier than it looked, and there was something rattling inside. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd been drowning in bills just minutes before, and stared at this package from my dead husband. How do you open a package from someone you buried 8 months ago? Finally, I tore off the tape. Inside was a smaller box wrapped in tissue paper with an envelope taped to the top. The envelope had my name written in Michael's handwriting. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open it. The letter was dated exactly a year ago,
4 months before Michael died. My dearest Rebecca, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And it's been exactly 8 months since my death. I know this must be confusing and probably frightening, but I need you to trust me one more time. There are things about our life together that I never told you, not because I didn't love you, but because I loved you too much to burden you with the truth. But now that I'm gone, you need to know everything. Open the box. Inside, you'll find a key and an address. Go to that address tomorrow at exactly 2 p.m. Don't bring the kids. Don't tell anyone where you're going. And Rebecca, whatever you discover, please remember that everything I did was to protect our family. I love you more than life itself. That's why I had to keep this secret. Forever yours, Michael. P.S. The financial problems you're facing right now are about to be solved. Trust me.
Inside the tissue paper was a small brass key and a piece of paper with an address I didn't recognize. It was across town in a part of the city I rarely visited. There was also a second, smaller envelope marked "Open only if you decide not to go to the address." I sat there for hours staring at these items. My rational mind was telling me this was some kind of elaborate scam, but the handwriting was definitely Michael's. The way he signed his name, the way he wrote my name, these were details only he would know. But what scared me most was the line about our financial problems being solved. How could a dead man solve problems he'd apparently created? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Michael's letter, about the mysterious address, about the promise that our financial problems would be solved. Emma and Jake were both at friends' houses, so I was alone with my thoughts and fears. At 3 a.m., I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to that address. The next day dragged by like torture. I called in sick to work, something I never did, and spent the morning pacing around the house, alternating between excitement and terror. At 1:30 p.m., I got in my car and drove to the address Michael had left me. The address led me to a small office building in a quiet business district. The directory in the lobby showed that Suite 247 belonged to Secure Future Solutions, the same company that had sent the package. I took the elevator to the second floor, my heart pounding with every floor we passed. Suite 247 was at the end of a long hallway. The door was unmarked except for the suite number. I knocked, and a woman's voice called out, "Come in." Inside was a small professional office with a desk, 2 chairs, and filing cabinets along the walls. Behind the desk sat an Asian woman in her 50s, wearing a business suit and a kind smile. "You must be Rebecca," she said, standing up to shake my hand. "I'm Linda Chen. I've been waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" "Your husband set up this meeting a year ago. He was very specific about the timing. Please sit down. I know you must have a lot of questions." I sat down, clutching Michael's key in my hand. "I don't understand any of this. My husband has been dead for 8 months. How could he have arranged a meeting?" Miss Chen opened a file folder on her desk. "Your husband was a very thorough man, Mrs. Martinez. He came to me 13 months ago with a very specific request. He wanted to set up what we call a posthumous revelation system." "Of what?" "It's a service we provide for people who need to share important information with their families after their death, but only after a specific amount of time has passed." Ms. Chen pulled out a thick manila envelope from her file. "Your husband left detailed instructions. He wanted you to have 8 months to grieve and begin to heal before you learned the truth about your financial situation." "What truth?" "Mrs. Martinez, your husband wasn't just an accountant. For the past 5 years, he was also a private investigator specializing in financial fraud cases. He was working undercover to expose a major embezzlement scheme at his accounting firm." My world tilted. "That's impossible.
Michael worked regular hours. He came home every night. He never traveled for work. He was very good at maintaining his cover, but the work he was doing was extremely dangerous. The people he was investigating had already threatened other whistleblowers. Your husband was terrified they would come after you and the children if they discovered what he was doing. Miss Chen handed me the manila envelope. Everything is in here. Bank statements, legal documents, and a full explanation of what your husband was really doing for the past 5 years. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. Inside were bank statements for accounts I'd never seen before, accounts with hundreds of thousands of dollars in them. I don't understand, I whispered. Where did this money come from? Your husband was paid very well for his undercover work, but he couldn't deposit the money in your joint accounts because it would have raised questions. So he set up these separate accounts and invested the money carefully. Ms. Chen pointed to a document in the pile. This is a trust fund he established for Emma and Jake's college education. This is a life insurance policy he took out that you didn't know about. And this, she handed me a deed, is the title to a vacation home in Colorado that he bought as a surprise for your 20th anniversary. I stared at the papers, unable to process what I was seeing. But we were broke. I've been struggling to pay bills for months. That was intentional. Your husband knew that if he died suddenly, the people he was investigating might monitor your finances to see if you knew anything about his real work. By keeping you financially struggling, he protected you from suspicion. Miss Chan leaned forward, her expression becoming more serious. Mrs. Martinez, there's something else you need to know. Your husband's death wasn't from natural causes. The room started spinning. What do you mean? The heart attack was induced. Your husband discovered that his cover had been blown 3 days before he died. He knew they were coming for him, but he also knew that if he disappeared or went to the police, they would assume you were involved and target you and the children. So he let them kill him? He made the ultimate sacrifice to protect his family. But he also made sure that his death would trigger the evidence release that would bring down the entire criminal organization. Ms. Chen pulled out a newspaper clipping dated 2 months after Michael's death. The headline read, "Major Embezzlement Ring Exposed. 12 Arrested in Financial Fraud Case." Your husband's evidence led to the arrest and conviction of everyone involved. The case is closed, the criminals are in prison, and you and your children are completely safe. Miss Chen handed me one more envelope. Your husband left specific instructions for how you should handle this information. He knew it would be overwhelming. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was another letter from Michael. My darling Rebecca, if you're reading this, then Linda has told you the truth about my real work and my death. I know you must be feeling angry, confused, and betrayed. I understand if you hate me for keeping this secret, but I need you to know that every lie I told, every secret I kept, was to protect you, Emma, and Jake. The people I was investigating were ruthless. They had already killed 2 other investigators and threatened their families. I couldn't risk them hurting you. The money I've left will ensure that you and the children never have to worry about finances again. Emma can go to any college she wants. Jake can pursue his dreams. And you can take time to heal and decide what you want to do with the rest of your life. I've also left instructions for Linda to help you access everything gradually so you're not overwhelmed. Trust her. She's been helping families like ours for 20 years. I know this changes everything you thought you knew about our marriage. But please remember, my love for you was the only real thing in a life full of lies. Every morning when I woke up next to you, every evening when I came home to our family, every moment we shared, that was the real Michael. The man who loved you wasn't a lie. The man who was proud to be Emma and Jake's father wasn't a lie. The man who dreamed of growing old with you wasn't a lie. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth while I was alive. I'm sorry you had to struggle financially while grieving my death. I'm sorry for all the pain my secrets have caused. But I'm not sorry for protecting you. I would make the same choice again. Live, my love. Be happy. Find love again if you can. You deserve all the joy in the world. Forever yours, Michael. I sat in Miss Chen's office for 2 hours.
reading through documents and trying to process everything I'd learned. My husband hadn't just been living a double life. He'd been living a triple life: accountant, undercover investigator, and family man. How do I explain this to Emma and Jake? I asked Miss Chin. Your husband left specific guidance for that too. He suggests waiting until they're both adults before sharing the full truth. For now, you can simply tell them that their father had some investments that have matured, providing for their future. And the house in Colorado? It's fully furnished and waiting for you. Your husband spent months planning every detail. He wanted your family to have a place where you could make new memories while honoring his memory.
The drive home was surreal. I kept looking at the passenger seat where I'd placed all the documents, half expecting them to disappear like a dream. But they were real. The bank account numbers were real. The house deed was real. The truth about Michael's death was real. When I got home, Emma and Jake were in the living room doing homework. They looked up when I walked in, and I realized they could see something had changed in my face. "Mom, are you okay?" Emma asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." In a way, I had. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Actually, I have some good news. It turns out your father had some investments that we didn't know about. We're going to be okay financially." Jake looked up from his math homework. "Does that mean I can get new cleats?" "Yes, honey, you can get new cleats." Emma was more perceptive. "Mom, what kind of investments?" "Dad never talked about investing money." "It's complicated, Em. But the important thing is that your father made sure we'd be taken care of. He was always thinking about our future, even when we didn't realize it." That night, after Emma and Jake went to bed, I sat in Michael's home office, a room I'd barely entered since his death. I looked through his desk drawers with new eyes, searching for clues I'd missed before. In the bottom drawer, hidden behind some old tax returns, I found a small notebook. Inside were what looked like random notes and phone numbers, but now I realized they were probably related to his investigation work. On the last page, written in Michael's handwriting, was a single sentence: "The hardest part of loving someone is knowing when to lie to them to keep them safe." I closed the notebook and cried for the first time since learning the truth. Not tears of grief this time, but tears of understanding. Michael had carried this enormous burden alone for 5 years, living in constant fear that his work would put us in danger. Over the next few weeks, I gradually began to improve our financial situation in ways that wouldn't raise suspicions. I paid off the overdue bills, bought Jake his soccer cleats, and gave Emma money for her senior trip. But I also started planning for bigger changes. The house in Colorado that Michael had bought was beautiful, a log cabin on 5 acres with mountain views. It would be the perfect place for our family to heal and start fresh. One evening, I sat Emma and Jake down for a serious conversation. "I want to talk to you both about your father," I began. "There are some things about him that I've recently learned, and I think you're old enough to understand." Emma immediately looked worried. "What kind of things?" "Good things. Your father was even more amazing than we knew. It turns out he was working on a very important project to help catch some bad people who were stealing money. He couldn't tell us about it because it was dangerous, but his work helped put those people in prison." Jake's eyes widened. "Dad was like a secret agent?" "Something like that. And because of his work, he made sure we'd always be taken care of. He left us enough money for both of you to go to college, and he even bought us a house in Colorado where we can spend summers." Emma was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Is that why he died? Because of this secret work?" I had dreaded this question. "The doctor said he died of a heart attack, and that's true. But yes, the stress of his secret work probably contributed to it." "So he died protecting people?" "He died protecting everyone he could, including us." 2 months later, during Emma's spring break, we drove to Colorado to see the house Michael had bought for us. The drive took 8 hours, and we spent most of it talking about Michael and sharing memories. When we pulled into the driveway of the log cabin, all 3 of us were speechless. It was exactly the kind of house Michael had always dreamed of, rustic but comfortable, with a wraparound porch and views of snow-capped mountains. Inside, we found that Michael had thought of everything. There were family photos on the walls, including some I'd never seen before. The refrigerator was stocked. Miss Chen had arranged for a caretaker to prepare for our arrival. There were books, games, and even a guitar for Jake, who had been learning to play. But the most amazing discovery was in the master bedroom. On the nightstand was a photo album I'd never seen before, filled with pictures of our family that Michael had apparently been collecting for years. On the first page was a note for all the memories we made and all the memories still to come.
That evening, while Jake was exploring the property, Emma came to me with something she'd found in what was obviously meant to be her room. "Mom, look at this," she said, holding a sealed envelope with her name on it. Inside was a letter from Michael, written specifically for Emma. "My beautiful daughter, by the time you read this, you'll be getting ready for college, and I won't be there to help you move into your dorm room or give you advice about boys or remind you to call your mother. But I want you to know that every day of your life, you have made me proud to be your father. You are smart, kind, compassionate, and strong. You are going to change the world, Emma, and I wish I could be there to see it. I've set up a college fund that will pay for any school you want to attend, but more than that, I've tried to give you the values and strength you'll need to succeed in life. Take care of your mother and your brother. They're going to need you to be strong while they heal from losing me. I love you more than all the stars in the sky, Dad." Emma cried as she read it, and then she hugged me tighter than she had since she was a little girl. "He really did think of everything, didn't he?" she whispered. The next morning, Jake found his own letter hidden in the guitar case in his room. "Jake, you're probably reading this while holding the guitar I bought for you. I hope you've been practicing. I always loved listening to you play, even when you were just learning and it sounded terrible. By now, your mom has told you about my secret work. I want you to understand that being a man sometimes means making hard choices to protect the people you love. I hope you never have to make the kinds of choices I made. But if you do, I hope you'll be brave enough to do what's right. You have a good heart, son. Trust it. And remember that being strong doesn't mean you can't cry or ask for help when you need it. Take care of your mom and sister. They're going to need you. I'm proud of the man you're becoming. Love, Dad." Jake didn't cry when he read his letter, but he was quiet for the rest of the day. That evening, he played guitar on the porch while we watched the sunset, and I could see Michael in every gesture, every expression. We spent a week in Colorado, and it was the first time since Michael's death that we felt like a family again. We hiked, cooked together, played games, and talked about Michael without the crushing sadness that had dominated our conversations for months. On our last night, we sat around the fireplace, and Emma asked the question I've been dreading. "Mom, are you angry at Dad for keeping all these secrets?" I thought carefully before answering. I was angry at first. I felt betrayed and confused, but now I understand that he was trying to protect us in the only way he knew how. "Do you think he was right to keep it secret?" Jake asked. "I think he was in an impossible situation. If he had told us the truth, we would have been terrified every day. We might have tried to talk him out of the work he was doing, work that put dangerous criminals in prison. And if those criminals had discovered that we knew about his investigation, they might have hurt us to get to him." Emma nodded slowly. "So he chose to carry the burden alone." "Yes, and that's what love looks like sometimes. It's not always pretty or easy to understand, but sometimes love means making sacrifices that the people you love will never even know about." When we returned home, everything looked different. The house that had felt like a museum of grief now felt like a home again. Michael's presence was still there, but it was comforting rather than painful. I went back to work with a new sense of purpose. I started a scholarship fund at this school in Michael's name for children who had lost parents. I didn't tell anyone about the source of the funding. I just said it was from an anonymous donor who wanted to help families in need. Emma threw herself into her senior year with renewed energy. She decided to study criminal justice in college, inspired by her father's secret work. Jake joined the school's music program and started writing songs about family and loss and healing. 1 year after Michael's death, we returned to Colorado for what we decided would become an annual tradition. This time, we brought some of Michael's ashes to scatter in the mountains he had loved. As we stood on a ridge overlooking the valley, Emma read a poem she had written about her father. He lived 2 lives so we could live one, carried secrets so we could sleep peacefully, died alone so we could live safely, left us everything so we could have anything. This is what love looks like. Not the easy kind that says sweet words, but the hard kind that makes impossible choices. The kind that protects even when it hurts. The kind that gives everything and asks for nothing. He was our hero, and we never knew it. He was our protector, and we never thanked him. He was our future, and we never saw it coming. But now we know, and now we understand, and now we can live the life he died to give us.
As we were packing to leave Colorado that year, I found one more envelope, hidden in a place I hadn't looked before, inside the cover of a photo album in the living room. This envelope was addressed to me, but it was marked to be opened on the 1st anniversary of my death. Inside was the longest letter Michael had ever written to me. My dearest Rebecca, if you're reading this, it means you've made it through the hardest year of your life. I'm so proud of you. I knew you were strong, but I wasn't sure if you were strong enough to handle losing me and then learning the truth about my secret life. But you did it. You kept our family together. You helped Emma and Jake heal. You found a way to forgive me for all the lies I told. I want you to know that every day of our marriage, I woke up grateful that you had chosen to love me. Even when I was living a lie, my love for you was the most honest thing in my life. I know that learning about my secret work has changed how you see our marriage. You probably wonder what else I might have hidden from you. The answer is nothing. The investigation work was the only secret I ever kept, and I only kept it because telling you would have put you in danger. Everything else was real. Every I love you, every kiss goodnight, every dream we shared about our future, all of it was real. I hope that someday you'll be able to love again. I hope you'll find someone who can give you the honest, open relationship that I couldn't. You deserve to be loved without secrets, without fear, without the weight of someone else's dangerous choices. But if you do find love again, I hope you'll remember that love comes in many forms. Sometimes it's the easy kind that feels safe and comfortable. Sometimes it's the hard kind that requires sacrifice and difficult choices. I gave you the hard kind because it was the only kind I could give while keeping you safe. But you deserve the easy kind too. Live, my love. Be happy. Make new memories. Let Emma and Jake see you smile again. And remember, the package that started this journey wasn't really about money or houses or college funds. It was about making sure you knew that even in death, I was still trying to take care of you. That's what love looks like. It finds a way. Forever and always yours, Michael. As I folded Michael's final letter and put it back in the envelope, I realized something important about love and sacrifice and the secrets we keep to protect the people we care about. Michael's story wasn't really about a man living a double life. It was about a man who loved his family so much that he was willing to carry an enormous burden alone rather than share it and put them at risk. The delivery man who knocked on my door that Tuesday afternoon didn't just bring me a package from my dead husband. He brought me the key to understanding what real love looks like when it's tested by impossible circumstances. 2 years have passed since that day. Emma is thriving in college, studying criminal justice and planning to work for the FBI someday.
Jake is a senior in high school, captain of the soccer team, and still writes songs about his father. And me? I'm learning to live again. I started dating someone, a kind, honest man who knows about Michael's secret life and understands why I need complete honesty in any relationship going forward. But I'll never forget the lesson Michael taught me through his final gift. Sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who carry the heaviest burdens to keep us safe. Sometimes protection looks like secrecy. Sometimes the greatest act of love is shouldering a weight that would crush the people you're trying to protect. The next time someone you love seems distant or secretive, ask yourself, what burden might they be carrying that they don't want to share with me? What are they trying to protect me from? Because sometimes love doesn't look like openness and honesty. Sometimes love looks like a man who spends 5 years living a lie to keep his family safe. Sometimes love looks like a package delivered 8 months after death, containing not just money and property, but the truth about what sacrifice really means. The mystery wasn't really about who ordered the package or how a dead man can solve my financial problems. The mystery was about understanding that love comes in many forms, and sometimes the most profound love is the kind that operates in shadows, asking for nothing and giving everything. Michael's final delivery wasn't just about providing for our future. It was about teaching us that love doesn't end with death. It just finds new ways to take care of the people it leaves behind. But there's one more thing I haven't told you, something I discovered just last month that makes me wonder if Michael's story is really over. Because last week, I received another package. Same delivery company, same mysterious timing, but this time the return address was different, and the name on the order wasn't Michael's. It was from someone claiming to be Michael's partner in the investigation, someone who says there's still one more secret Michael wanted me to know, one more truth that could change everything I thought I understood about my husband's death. And this time, I'm not sure I'm ready for the answer. But that's a story for another day.